Hey friends, I'm Laura Malone and I'm obsessed with all things coaching. Self-coaching, life coaching, specific niche coaching, all of it. For 20 years, I've been a traveling, homeschooling, full-time ministering, multi-passionate mom who finally decided to take the dream of starting my own business off of that top shelf. I realized that what I'd been doing all my life was called coaching. Then I found out it could be both ministry to those around me and a business blessing. Now I'm sharing everything I've learned over the years as coach, entrepreneur, and imperfect human who's still in process. I'm inviting you to my table laid out with a feast of spirit-led strategies, tangible tools, growth God's way, and clarity about your callings in life. So get ready to become the hero in your own story and an amazing guide to others. And now, enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Christian Life Coach Collective. Today, I'm talking about friends you need to get rid of. That's fun, right? You probably have some in your life. People that you have called friends or that call you a friend. You know that they're really not the best people, but you really do become who you hang out with. And I think, what do they say? Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with and you'll see yourself there. You know, you see yourself becoming like them. And if you're in their life enough, you'll see them picking up attributes and characteristics of you, belief systems, even sometimes mannerisms. And I think that there are 4 friends that you need to really be aware of. And just know that they're not good friends. And I am going to tell you about them. I'm going to tell you about the friends you need to replace them with. And the first one is named FOMO. If you're not familiar with that, it stands for fear of missing out. It creates anxiety that something more exciting is happening somewhere outside of you without you. Social media spurs this on, but it came into our culture a long time before Instagram ever did. When you were a kid and maybe somebody called you to see if you could play, and you said probably, but you held back a little bit because you also knew there was another group of kids playing across the street that were kind of cool, and maybe you would want to hang out with them instead. So you half commit to the one kid who actually called you and gave the invitation. FOMO causes you to worry about missing out on things, and you don't even know if they're a reality, right? Your amygdala of your brain generates this fear of missing out, and it's the part of the brain that is on the lookout for threats to your survival. So that says that our brain thinks that missing out could threaten us. That's interesting. I've also heard about MOMO, which is funny to me, the mystery of missing out, which is simply ridiculous, but it stems from the perception that people are doing things without you knowing about them. They're hiding things from you. Your brain is telling you that somebody is not answering the phone. And I actually identify with this as a kid, thinking that I would call somebody, on the landline, the phone cord, that spiral phone cord that was like 25 feet long so my mom could make sure it would reach into a room where I couldn't listen in on our conversations. And I would pick that phone up and I would call Angela and she wouldn't answer, and I would call Jill and she wouldn't answer. I would call Stephanie. She wouldn't answer. I would call Trisha. She wouldn't answer. I would call Brandy. She wouldn't answer. And then I'd give up and I'd start going to the other people, like the B list, right? And it was so funny, like obviously by the names of all of us, Laura, Angela, Jill, Stephanie, and Trisha, you can tell what decade we were raised in. And I would think to myself, wow, like they're probably all together hanging out and specifically not answering the phone because they don't want me to know about it. Now that seems ridiculous. Except that it's not ridiculous. It's actually a thing that human nature really struggles with. And to me, it's associated with the expectation of rejection, if you ask me. But what is the opposite of FOMO? Well, now they have a word for it, and it's called JOMO. And I kind of like that one because it's the joy of missing out. Now, joy is a friend to keep. Joy replaces FOMO, okay? And joy usually hangs out with thankful and hopeful. So when you get around thankful and, anybody named Hope, you get more than one friend when you hang out with all of these. They invite other good friends. And honestly, when you cut out or cut down on social media, you can stop worrying so much about what you could be missing out on. But also, if you start living your life like a powerful character in your story, a hero in your own story, you find that there is really so much joy in missing out on what somebody posted about the sandwich they ate for dinner. With JOMO, you live from a shifted paradigm where there's joy in this very moment without needing somebody else's input, invitation, or their own way, without wishing your world was something different than it is. It is satisfaction. It's gratitude in operation. It's being present. And, satisfaction actually increases your ability to become intentional and choose wisely. Think about it. Do you hang out with fear and anxiety, or do you chill out with joy and satisfaction? It really comes down to you and your choices. The second friend I recommend you get rid of is whim. WHIM. That is when you change your mind without a lot of thought or explanation, and you're moved by a sudden desire to go in a way you weren't going. So maybe you've done things on a whim and they turned out okay. That can happen. But let's be honest, how many times in your life has a whim led you down a path with consequences you might regret, or you would have changed a little bit? So if you're on a path and you know it's right and good, and even you can know that it's the way the Lord's shown you to go, a whim could really knock you off course and lead you into something like quicksand or even off a cliff. But if you're not looking ahead and making a conscious decision, then it's possible whim is a friend that's hanging out with you. But the opposite of whim is a friend named wisdom. The Bible talks a lot about her. And wisdom gives you inspiration and shows you a path you might not have seen, but it causes your spirit to feel alive and free in a way that's very different from whim telling you, whispering to you, that this whim, if you go this way, will create that feeling of being alive and free. Okay, a whim tattles, and a whim might be telling you a little white lie, but wisdom never will. Wisdom will always lead you in the right direction, and wisdom can be fun and inspirational and spontaneous. Okay, so recognize the difference between whim and wisdom. And if whim is a friend that shows up when you're on a path and then tells you to suddenly shift in a new direction, urge is the other friend who will suddenly inform your body and your soul that you want a thing and make you feel like you need it, you must have it. And urge leads us into the kitchen late at night. It turns on the wrong channel. It pulls up thoughts and extracts memories, and it can take you down a very long path you can't see, because urge causes you to believe that its desires are only momentary. But you have no idea how strongly that urge can lead you into habits and addictions. On the simplest format, urge is the friend in the checkout line at Home Goods or TJ Maxx. They make those lines really long, and they fill them with socks, which is weird to me, paper plates, napkins, candles, cards, gift cards to load, so many things. What is there? There's cotton candy and popcorn and chips and a cooler so you can grab yourself a soda, just so many things. And they're all smaller items so that you can hold on to them. You can add them to everything else that you need. There's little pictures and fake potted plants. Man, you smell those candles while you're standing in that long line. And I am sure that they keep less cashiers on so you stay in line longer to buy all the junk you know you don't need. I actually bought a bunch of birthday presents for my daughter a couple of months ago. Well, no, a couple weeks ago. And while I was standing in line at my Home Goods, there was like 30 people in line, and that's not an exaggeration. And if you live anywhere near me, you would know exactly which Home Goods I'm talking about because it's ridiculous every day of the year, every hour of the day. And it was only 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. And the line is 30 people long. And do you know, like, I bought a bag just because I needed something to put all the stuff in while I stood in line for so long, because I specifically didn't get a cart so I wouldn't buy too many things. But I bought these 2 massive pillows and all these other things I was holding. So I actually ended up buying a bag in that checkout line that I didn't need simply to hold all the things I was holding because I didn't get a cart so I would save money. It's insane, and they know it. Those people, whoever they are, you know they know it. So Urge's opposite friend is named self-control. And self-control is friends with awareness. Self-control is spirit-led. When your spirit is aware of your soul and body, and also aware of God within you, then self-control leads your soul and body to know what they need to know and to follow a path of righteousness. My worst friend, I think really the worst friend ever, is named blame. Blame likes to throw other people and yourself under the bus, right? Blame wants to blame others and you and the universe and God and every event and circumstance that has ever taken place in your life. And what's worse is that blame hinders acceptance. Blame keeps the door locked and true power is never allowed to come in. Blame breaks pencils and typewriters and rips entire chapters out of the book. Blame hates legacy and despises hope. Blame is friends with offense and bitterness and envy. I say run away now and ask Holy Spirit to help you break all ties with blame, because those ties are holding you back and keeping you imprisoned. And instead of living with blame, go make friends with grace. Grace takes responsibility and owns what is hers to own and gives grace to the storyline. There's redemption. Grace doesn't hang out with shame and judgment. Instead, grace follows the path of righteousness and compassion and takes responsibility and says, I accept what is mine. I accept who I am and what I'm doing with my life and the decisions I make right now, regardless of all past events and circumstances, traumas, injustices. I own my life now. And grace says, because I am the only one with the power to make changes, to pursue God, to walk into transformation with Jesus, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to live blaming other people and blaming the world and blaming all the things that should never have happened to me and living my life from that perspective. Grace says there's a pencil and a paper and I can write the rest of this story and it's going to be beautiful and it will still hurt at times and I will still make mistakes, but there is hope, there is legacy, and the greatest results will come from actually becoming the hero in my story, becoming the person who pursues the Lord, the ultimate hero, the ultimate author, the ultimate creator. Grace turns towards him because he is grace. So joy and wisdom and self-control and grace are all friends that are waiting to hang out with you. And they are able, honestly, their presence in your life makes FOMO and whim and urge and blame leave. You recognize you don't need them anymore. You don't have to hang out with them. And ultimately, you need all of the fruits of the Spirit to be your close friends. So where do you see these 4 things, these friends hanging around in your life? Where are FOMO and whim, urge, and blame showing up and informing you about how you make decisions, or keeping you stuck, or self-sabotaging? And how are your relationships being affected by them? Is your family suffering from their presence in your life, or maybe your business or your calling? Go to the Lord and ask Him to reveal where they're present in your life and why. Then begin to let your spirit rise up and lead you well in alignment with God's truth, and get in the Word, and specifically Proverbs, and start listening with your spirit so that the door of your heart is swinging into your soul, and the truth of God within you can pour into it. Let the fruits of the Spirit be your friends and your guides, and pursue joy and wisdom, self-control and grace. Live from this place and let it be an example to those around you. These are some of the friends that you can spend time with and invite into your life so that you really are the light that is shining in other people's lives. They're attracted to these kinds of friends in your life, right? People see joy and wisdom. They see it on you. They see it in your life, and they're attracted to it, and they want to know, how did you get that? Because everybody wants to be free from the friends that hinder them. People don't say, I want to become like that, like FOMO. They don't say, I want to be living in blame. I want to be a victim. It just happens. And you have an opportunity to bring friends, a Spirit of God within your life, and let that reflect Him and His character and His nature, and draw other people into Him, because you have the opportunity to show people who He is by who you hang out with. And ultimately, all of these friends that I'm talking about are reflections of Him. So I bless you. I pray that you feel the presence of God with you today in a very tangible way. And I pray that the friends that you hang out with will be traded out, and you'll experience the joy of the transformation of who you hang out with, internally and externally. Until next time, friend. Are you ready to become a hero in your own story by investing in yourself through life coaching? Are you looking to become an amazing guide to others by becoming a coach or up-leveling your current practice? Then check out sterlingandstonementoring.com to see how we can work together. And don't forget, it's really easy to say thanks if any of this free content has been a blessing to you, just by leaving a quick written review over on Apple Podcasts. And thank you in advance.